Love him or leave him, he was the President of the United States and the leader of the free world for 4 years. In that time span, he did a lot of weird stuff. The media hates him so much, and almost every week there was a new report about strange failures, weird handshakes, or an off-the-wall tweet. All political controversy aside, we did some research and picked out the strangest Trump moments of all time, just for you. So for all this and more, stay tuned right here at Wonderlane. Let's start with something fairly recent. Trump was at the UN General Assembly in New York, addressing the assembled body of delegates from all countries. The fact that he was not exactly the most popular speaker there was quickly made clear to him by the audience, and for Trump it became kind of embarrassing. Everyone laughed when he stated that his administration was the best in US history. He was dead serious though. Once the laughter died down, he smiled and said,
"Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay."
Although he seemingly dodged a potentially embarrassing moment, he later felt the need to clarify the following.
And I said, "Oh, I didn't know there'd be that guy." They weren't laughing at me. They were laughing with me. We had fun. That was not laughing at me. So the fake news said people laughed at President Trump. They didn't laugh at me. People had a good time with me. We were doing it together. We had a good time.
Almost any administration in the history of our country. America's so true.
Next, let's go a bit further back and look at one of Trump's first meetings with Angela Merkel. The German chancellor got a front row seat to some of Donald Trump's finest moments. Time and again, Trump has described himself as a great deal maker who negotiates great deals with every country. But what exactly these deals should look like, Trump usually didn't say. In his initial conversation with Merkel, Trump wanted to make a deal with Germany. Angela Merkel told Trump that a trade deal would have to be made with the entire EU, and Trump then reiterated that he really wanted to make a deal with Germany. Trump went on to ask an incredible 8 times whether it would be possible to make a separate agreement with Germany. After Merkel denied it for the 10th time, he finally proposed a deal with the EU. What was going through Angela Merkel's head throughout this interaction, we can only guess. It's common knowledge that there's bad blood between Trump and many Democratic politicians. Really, it's politicians in general that he doesn't care for. But he has few enemies greater than Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren. Warren, who was involved in Bernie Sanders' campaign, is known primarily for liberal and progressive attitudes. In the 2016 election year, Trump's general critique on Warren had little to do with policy. Instead, he called her Pocahontas every chance he got, alluding to her alleged but extremely questionable Native American roots. 26 times Trump is said to have called her by the name Pocahontas on national television. When he was later pressured by colleagues with legitimate Native American roots to apologize to Warren, he said, quote, "Pocahontas, they want me to apologize to you for that. I apologize, Pocahontas, I'm sorry. But to the fake Pocahontas, to you, I will not apologize." Thus, the quarrel raged on, and a little later, Trump was again taunting the senator. When some elders of the Navajo tribe were guests, he took another opportunity for a jab at Warren and said, "You guys have been in this country long before us, but one person, a senator to be exact, has been here for even longer than all of us together, and she is called Pocahontas." Trump earned a lot of criticism for this one from other senators and from the Native American community. Trump is big into money. He's a businessman after all. He refers to himself prominently as a multi-billionaire and actually took legal action against an individual that stated otherwise. In 2005, Timothy O'Brien wrote Trump Nation and referred to Trump as a multi-millionaire, stating that he owns only $150 to $200 million. Trump found this to be unacceptable, and he sued the author. But the funniest part was the amount that Trump wanted to receive as compensation. The author was supposed to pay him $5 billion. But obviously, he didn't come anywhere close to winning this case. Currently, most estimates suggest that Trump has a total fortune of $3 billion. However, some estimate his fortune at $700 million. Next, we have what is arguably one of the most bizarre moments in Trump's public life: the strange statements that he's made about his daughter, Ivanka. On The View, Trump said of his own underage daughter that if she were not his daughter, he would probably be dating her. That's really gross. But in a television interview circa the 1980s, Trump said something along those same lines that was even grosser. His daughter was only a few years old, but that didn't stop him from saying that Ivanka had her mother's legs. And then he made a comment on another one of mom's physical traits that Ivanka might inherit. Only time would tell.
She's got Marla's legs. We don't know whether or not she's got this part yet, but time will tell.
Let's get back to the presidency. A common activity for presidents is to help in times of crisis. Obama and Bush made themselves popular by traveling to Texas and Florida when the states were hit by tropical storms. But Trump is a bit different. He did travel to devastated Puerto Rico to encourage the residents, but the way he did it left them more confused than appeased. First of all, he let himself be celebrated like a pop star upon arrival. He was throwing essentials like water and toilet paper into the crowd like candy or t-shirts or something at a concert. Then he made a joke out of the name Puerto Rico.
We are also praying for the people of Puerto Rico. We love Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. And we also love Puerto Rico.
And at the end, he started to talk about the unbelievable damage in Puerto Rico with a pretty distinct lack of reverence or sensitivity.
What is your death count as of this moment? 16 people certified. Now, I hate to tell you, Puerto Rico, but you've thrown our budget a little out of whack because we've spent a lot of money on Puerto Rico.
Another appearance by Trump that did not improve his image was his visit to the Queen. For a long time, the English wanted to keep the Queen from having to meet Trump, and they even voted on it in Parliament. But in the end, Trump was invited to the royal house. But surprise, the meeting didn't go well. Before the meeting, Trump kept the Queen waiting for like 15 minutes. Big no-no. He was expected to bow, and he did not bow. Many would be extremely nervous about meeting the Queen of England, but Trump was extremely casual. Just another day in the office. When they walked down the honor guard of the royal house together, Trump stopped on a dime right in front of the Queen, who almost ran into him. She was clearly not a big Trump fan, and as some attentive spectators noticed, she was wearing a palm branch brooch. This brooch was known for being worn at her father's funeral, and she never wore this brooch when visiting other state guests. Now on to number one, and perhaps the craziest Trump moment ever. No matter what else is to come, Trump probably can't top his legendary WWE performances. In 2007, he actually stepped into the ring and wrestled Vince McMahon. He won the quote-unquote fight and triumphantly shaved his opponent's head. Trump was even inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame and is a big wrestling fan himself. That's gonna do it for our video on some of the weirdest stuff that Donald Trump has ever done. Did we miss anything? I'm sure we did. Drop some of your favorite Trump moments down in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to Wonderlane for more videos just like this every other day.